Hello, everyone.
Monica, Monica, I'm suggesting we give
Yes.
ourselves like maybe 2 minutes, then we start.
Okay,
So
please.
are all the panelists around? Do you have all the panelists?
So far, we have 3 of them, and we are waiting for only 2 to join in.
Actually, I think 1 or 2. Okay, it's okay. So what do you think? Should we start now? Should we give ourselves only 2 minutes and we start?
Yes, sure. We should give in like only 2 minutes, then we get started. They will join us on the way.
Okay, they'll join. Okay, no problem. Okay.
I think we should get started. I welcome you all. to this platform, as we are going to be raising our voices against forced marriages. So I will request Joyce, please give us an opening prayer as we start our discussions today. Joyce Muhumuza, please lead us in an opening prayer. Okay, I will request Janet. Janet, please lead us in an opening prayer as we start.
Joyce is here, but she's muted. Joyce is on, but she's muted. So we just have to unmute her.
Okay, I'm on now.
Okay, please lead us.
Okay, let's pray. Father, in the mighty name of Jesus, we thank you for this day. We thank you for the gift of life and for this meeting that we are going to attend right now. We pray that you guide our deliberations, help us to have everything we want to discuss go well and understand this topic quite well, and may all the glory and honor go back to you, for it's in Christ's mighty name that we have prayed and believed.
Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Joyce, for that prayer. This is our agenda. We were supposed to start with the welcoming remarks, which I did, then a prayer, which we heard from Joyce. Then we shall go in the self-introduction of the panelists. Then we shall have an open discussion. Then we shall have the questions and comments from the audience. And then finally close our discussion. So at this very point, allow me to introduce myself to you. My name is Monica Nalumu. I am a young leader, a volunteer at Girl Guides Association. I am heading the advocacy team in the Yes Girls program. Our coordinator will talk more about it, and I'm the event moderator of this discussion. Thank you very much. I will request Madam Catherine, please introduce yourself.
Okay, thank you so much, Monica, the moderator. I'm called Kathy Nakazwe, and I coordinate the Yes Girls Movement program. The Yes Girls Movement is a nursing program between 15 countries, and people travel to another country, stay there for 6 months, come back to their respective countries, and then share their experience. So this exchange, it is funded by the Norwegian government through Ministry of Foreign Affairs. That is my job. Thank you. Monica, over to you.
Okay, thank you, Madam Kathy. She'll be my co-moderator. Right now, Sarah, please introduce yourself. Sarah Nakabuye. Sarah Nakabuye, please unmute yourself and introduce yourself.
I'm Nakabuye Sarah Chigongo, DEC, Masaka, Maine, a specialist in special needs education. I'm a panelist.
You're most welcome, Sarah. Happy to have you here. Happy to have a specialist in special needs. Hope to hear from you. Can we hear from Sarah Nasanga?
Sarah, your network, we couldn't hear you, Sarah. Network.
Now I get me.
Sarah, we really feel sorry for you. Your network is really breaking and we can't really get anything at this time. Maybe you can try to change the location. The network may catch up. So as Sarah is trying to get her network worked on, can we hear from Hashaka?
Thank you very much. I'm called Hashaka Edson. I'm a volunteer with Uganda Scout Association. I'm an educationist. I'm also a father of 4. That's very big. And I'm an advocate and peer educator with the youth. I'm happy to be on this forum with you, to be part of the team of panelists that will go through this activity today. Thank you so much for welcoming me.
Thank you very much, Hashaka. Happy to have you. Hope you educate us as well. At this time, can we have Lucy? Lucy, please, if you're there, kindly unmute yourself and introduce yourself. Lucy, are you there? Okay, it looks like she has not yet joined in or she may have gone off. Can we have Anna? Anna, kindly introduce yourself.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Anna Kavma.
Thank you, Monica. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Anna Navulia. I work as the Deputy Director for Uganda Youth Development Link. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. And you're most welcome, Anna. Hope to hear from you as we go on in the discussion. At this very time, I will introduce to you our theme. We are saying that we are raising our voices against the forced marriages. So we shall have our different panelists give us their different views on what they understand by forced marriages, because we really need to understand this before we go deep into it to discuss and to raise our voices against it. So our dear panelists, I'm going to request each of you to share with us what you really understand by forced marriages. So in case you have any comment, any question, please feel free to write in the chat box and we shall have a chance for the audience also to give in their views at the end of the discussion. So at this very time, allow me welcome Sarah Nasanga to share with us, what do you understand by forced marriages?
Hello, now can you hear me now?
Yes, Sarah, we can hear you.
Just introduce myself because network disturbed me at first. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Nasanga Sarah from Rakai District. I'm an educationist and I'm a district executive commissioner girl guides in my district. With forced marriages, on my side, I understand this is a marriage whereby one goes into it not by his or her choice, by just being forced to do it, not by his or her choice. And especially it is done to younger girls and boys, forcing them to do it. That's what I understand by forced marriage. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. I think you can look for a slightly better spot. That one, I could hear you, but again, you are breaking.
Okay, thank you very much, Sarah, for that input. Please, Edison Hashaka, kindly share with us, what do you really understand by forced marriages? Hashaka?
Mute yourself.
All right. Yeah. I hope am I clear? Can someone hear me? Well, forced marriages, I have tried to define them or understand them in the perspective of the kind of marriages that are mostly traditional and basically prevailing in the rural centers, where the young people have not participated in the initial stages into the marriage institution, where basically their parents are the initiators of the ideas and the children are basically coerced, kind of convinced to partake. So their consent is basically to allow or make their parents happy, and the consequences are very numerous. That's how basically I try to understand and discuss forced marriages. Hello? Hello?
Wow, that's wonderful. Thank you, Hashaka, for that definition, for giving us your view about what really forced marriages mean. So allow me welcome Sarah Nakawi. Sarah, to tell us also, what do you understand by forced marriages?
Thank you very much, my dear. What I understand by forced marriages, this is whereby a child is taken into marriage by force when he or she is young, because even boys are forced in marriage by those sugar daddies when he or she doesn't know even what to do, doesn't know what is called even marriage, but just on the aim of the parents gaining what they think that could sustain their lives. Thank you.
Oh, that is so sad that our young daughters, young sisters are forced into marriage without their consent. So we thank you all for sharing with us. Lucy has not yet joined us, but allow me request Anna, kindly give us an overview and really tell us if these forced marriages really happen in our communities in Uganda. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Monica, for this opportunity. I had prepared a PowerPoint slide, if you will allow me to share that with you right now.
Please feel free, go ahead.
Can anyone see my slide right now?
Yes, we can.
Yes. So this is the experience I've had with young people within the organization that I work for, which is Uganda Youth Development Link, in regards to gender-based violence and early marriages, which is the topic for today. And since you're raising awareness against forced marriages or early marriages, I'll also bring in the aspect of gender-based violence. So my name is Anna Navulia. I work as the Deputy Director for Uganda Youth Development Link, and I'm happy to be here. And just briefly to tell you a little bit about Uganda Youth Development Link, this is a non-government organization which started approximately 28 years ago. And it's operating mainly in Kampala, Mukono, and Wakiso, though we are national-wide, with a national-wide focus. We mainly deal with socioeconomic empowerment and socioeconomic reintegration of young people within the ages of 15 to 24 years who have been affected by quite a number of issues, including alcohol, drugs, and substance abuse, commercial sexual exploitation, child trafficking, child labor, sexual reproductive health, and HIV. And then we also do quite a number of social researches. Just to give you a quick prevalence of what we are seeing with the data that we collected especially during the pandemic of COVID-19. When you look at the Ministry of Health data, it's showing 25% of Ugandans, girls who are now Ugandan teenagers who have become pregnant by the age of 19. And then it's also showing that Uganda has the highest rate of pregnancy in sub-Saharan Africa, where we see 25% of the pregnancies are among teenagers that are registered every year. This is according to the Uganda Population Census Survey. And then when you look at a recent report that was done in Chegegwa, Rakai, Kamira, and Ruwero, you'll see that over 128 schoolgirls have been married off in those areas. Now, when I take you back a little bit on this other side of the UDEL statistics, what we are seeing within our work is that we are seeing that out of the 580 girls that we have currently enrolled, we see 26% of these as teenage mothers. And this is actually implying that from every 10 girls that walks into our drop-in center, 3 of these are already teenage mothers. And others are, victims of transactional sex, but also gender-based violence. And some of these are also, there's an interplay within gender-based violence, but also transaction sex. And then we are seeing the age of early sexual debut being at 16 years. But we've also seen several attempts within the young people that we enrolled within January to June 2021 that had tried to terminate the pregnancy. And this was around 47%, which is quite high on our end. But when you look at also the pandemic, where we are seeing 47 million more women and girls who are going to be pushed into poverty, this is bringing us more at risk. It means that there is a difficulty for women to access psychosocial support. There's also difficulty for them to access healthcare and also safe shelter. And these are things that we may have to look at when we look at gender-based violence or gender issues. And then when you look at the constant state of vulnerability for especially women and girls based on the UN Women Executive Director, she's saying that we need to focus a lot on issues of women and girls, especially during the COVID-19, where we are seeing a big booming business in trafficking of especially girls for sexual exploitation purposes as well. But when we also look at the UN Women, it's saying that we are seeing an increase in the economic inequality of girls. And of course, this means that we need to gear most of our efforts to address gender equality, especially right now during the pandemic, where we are seeing the plight of women and girls worsening, and of course, hindering their access to criminal justice responses as well as reducing them into COVID-19. Now, when we look at International Labour Organization, it's telling us that we will see 25 million people losing their jobs worldwide due to COVID-19 and the economic recession that we are seeing right now. And this means that the main root causes will be poverty, lack of social and economic opportunities, but also limited protection. Now, the COVID-19 situation has brought a number of issues. Governments have instituted lockdowns, we are seeing curfews, we are seeing closure of schools, and this is creating more problems for especially the girl child and also the boy child who are being forced in one or another into early marriages. But that means that with the closure of the nightclubs and the banning of entertainment industries and some of the restaurants and lodges, we are seeing a lot of increment in underground criminal activities and especially sex trafficking deals, which has increased on the number of young people that are being exploited and sexually abused or that are entering into early marriages. But of course, we are seeing that also due to COVID-19, there's an increase in human trafficking, both from the demand and supply chain. And we are seeing a new trend of online child sexual exploitation because now people can't meet, they can't, due to the lockdowns, they can't, be face-to-face, and traveling is also restricted. So we are seeing a lot of online child sexual exploitation. And we are also seeing quite a number of sex trafficking happening within there. That's what this graph basically tells you. Now, when you look at the Uganda Police Forces Criminal Investigations Department reports for January to July 2020, we are seeing quite an increase in the cases of gender-based violence. And this is one of the issues where we are seeing early marriages coming out. We are seeing quite a number of domestic violences that are being reported. And of course, what I see, what I make out of this slide is that we are seeing very few cases ending up into being fully convicted. Many of the cases are still under investigations. So we may have to do also something right there, because then we don't have completions of cases. Now, when you look at the gender-based violence, like I said, I was going to share with you the case study of what we are seeing in the work that we're doing as UDEL. In these 7 districts where we were operating in 2020, we saw an increase in gender-based violence, especially for emotional and physical abuse. And this tells us quite a big number. We're seeing quite a number of adolescent girls and young women who were having children. And like you can see right there, 30% of the young people that came into the UDEL safe spaces had children, which is quite a big number and shows that early marriages is a worrying situation within our country. Now, this is what we are seeing in Kampala area and in Kampala or Wakiso area, where we are seeing many children ending by the age of 10, having other children, other babies. And the curve grows, especially it starts hiking within the adolescence stages, and it hikes higher into the early adulthood. So we need to do something around supporting young people within the ages of 15 to 18, within that early adolescent stage, to prepare them not to get into teenage parenthood or early marriages that may have other consequences. And then also as they transit into adulthood, we need to do something right there. So we are seeing the categorization of the perpetuators. We are seeing a lot of border cyclists. We are seeing teachers. We are seeing relatives within the home. We are seeing cattle herdsmen. We are seeing chapati sellers. We are seeing quite a number of people that are, perpetuated or that are perpetrators or that are part of this racket of causing early marriages. And then we are also seeing quite a number of casual relationships. Monica, you please let me know how much time I still have, but I'll just continue in the meantime. Please feel free to stop me at any time. So these casual relationships, we're seeing quite a number of former domestic workers that are also getting into sexual exploitation and then also being trafficked, and it's becoming a vicious cycle of exploitation and abuse, where we are seeing even those that are trafficked ending up in sexual exploitation, but also at the same time into domestic work and then come back into the trafficking cycle, which is also rendering them vulnerable to early marriages. These are some of the triggers that we are seeing. We're seeing a lot of rapes and defilements. We are seeing a lot of alcohol and drug and substance abuse. We are seeing those that are being conned and convinced. We are seeing poor background, but also parental support and the lack of basic needs. We are seeing, of course, lack of information on sexual reproductive health. Like I'll share with you later, there's in one district in Gomba, where we found that the girls didn't even know what a condom was or how to even use it. And it's because of the family settings where they were not allowed to talk about family planning or even talk about issues that have to do with condoms. And then we are seeing strict laws on abortion, which is also one of the triggers that is getting young people into pregnancy issues, but also poverty and the limited survival skills and negative peer education groups. So this is what we see with the rural girls when it comes to substance abuse. Like you see, the numbers are high in the rural areas, but also in the urban areas that are, a part of abusing alcohol, which is one of the triggers for getting girls into early marriages, but also into situations of sexual exploitation and abuse. So these are some of the consequences we've seen. Of course, young girls are chased away from home, especially where there are cases of incest. We are seeing people blaming parents for inappropriate upbringing of children. We are seeing stigma within the health centers. We are seeing antenatal and maternity challenges, especially with children who are in early marriage situations that cannot pay money or cannot have enough, do not have health insurance for adequate services. We are seeing abandonment within the community and stigma. We are seeing victimization by the partners, where the husbands abandon them or leave them and deny the pregnancies. We are also seeing a lot of deaths and also health facilities which are not very friendly to receive them. So this is
Anna,
quick.
I will
Yes,
request you
Monica?
to wind up the presentation. I request that you wind up the presentation.
Okay, Monica, I'll
Thank
share this with you. This is something that you can read by yourselves. This is a case study of one of the cases that we've received due to domestic violence and then ends up into sexual exploitation or an early marriage in Kampala from, I had put her questions, but since we don't have time, this is what we have done to support children who have, or survivors or victims that have fallen prey to early marriages or sexual exploitation. So we've tried to partner with quite a number of people, especially during the COVID-19 situation. We tried to create awarenesses on risks and mitigation. We've tried to do some work on food distribution, but also we've done HIV and GBV screening and referrals for assistances. And we've designed packages where we can create resilience and build positive assets among the girls to prevent them from getting into early marriages, and of course, socioeconomic empowerment. Now, this is the impact of our work. We tried to study at least 50 girls that had gone through that full package that I just showed you. And like you see, the brown line there shows you that there was a reduction in sexual partners after a period of 9 months. From the blue line shows you how many they had before they joined the program. Many of them were having up to like 8 partners. And then by the time we ended in the 9 months, they had reduced their sexual partners to 1 or 2, which is quite encouraging that if we do quite a number of issues, then we should be able to deal with the issues of sexual exploitation. And I think just to end with this one, some of the recommendations we are saying, we need to have strengthened law enforcement. We need to change some policies, especially when it comes to the government empowerment program, so that they can also be linked to teenage mothers or kids who are in situations of abuse for early marriages. We need holistic packages that can help promote resilience, but also access to decent work. We need improved access to quality sexual reproductive health services and information, and creating safe environments that can support them in the informal sector enterprises, especially for the teenage mothers, but also addressing issues of social cultural norms that predispose girls, and these days also young boys, to gender-based violence and early marriages. Thank you very much. And for more information, you can just visit our website right there, and I'll share this presentation with Monique and Kathy. Thank you for allowing me to be part of this conversation. Back to you, and thank you very much.
Wow, bravo, bravo, bravo. We really thank you, Anna, for this insight you've given us, for this great research you've shared with us. One of our members in the audience has requested that really this should be shared out to more people out there, because it's so educative. It has that information that actually should reach every person's ear for the change to be seen in the community. So Anna, we thank you for the research done. I have just seen Lucy joined us. Lucy, kindly introduce yourself to us.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, Lucy.
How are you? I hope everyone is very well. My name is Lucy Nkoma, Deputy Chief Commissioner for Malawi Girl Guides Association. I'm very pleased and humbled to be part of the discussion today with you. I hope that it will be very interactive and all of us will get to share our views and what we can do to overcome the challenge that is amidst us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lucy. You're most welcome. We hope to hear more of what you have to tell us about Malawi. As far as this discussion is concerned. Please allow me to get back to you. I request, please, if you're not speaking, kindly mute yourself for the best communication. Lucy, please, you're going to come back and share with us what are the effects that you feel in our society because of because we know that every injustice in community has effects. So in this case, kindly share with us the effects of forced marriages to the individuals being forced into marriage and to the marriage that is being created as well. Lucy, are you still there?
Yes, I was muted still, so I was waiting for you to unmute me because it's not allowing me to unmute myself. So I'll speak from a general Malawian perspective of the situation about early child marriages. So to begin with, I would like to still go on and define what early marriages for me is. So child marriages are a human rights violation and a harmful practice that is being imposed on the girls. That makes it also disproportionately affects women and girls in general globally, preventing them from living their lives free from all forms of violence. So as we live our world, so many other challenges that are coming towards girls and young women in general. But I can say that violence is violence, and early marriages being one of it. There are so many effects that come with it as well. The girls will not be able to go to school. The girls will definitely have to drop out of school, even though there are so many other chances that they would get. But the chance that they get for the first time is the best chance that they can have in their life. And we have also seen girls having challenges like fistula, which is a medical condition which the girls can have in their life. Locally in Malawi, 55%, let me come back on that one. So the rapid assessment that was conducted by the Malawi government showed that there were already 44,778 early marriages that has been come as a result of COVID-19. And that's added up to 12,995 cases of early child marriages already, which already said if there were challenges that the government was fighting before the COVID-19, now we have also already increased numbers. So which makes it even very, very, very difficult to have additional resources to support the girls or to make sure that the girl state is still in state. So already Malawi is the 8th highest child marriage rate in the world. And the population of Malawi is about more than 70% of women. So there are really so many challenges that come with it. The girls will not be able to go to school. The girls will develop fistula. I mean, then the poverty rate also increases to include to that, because it becomes a vicious circle where the parents are not educated, and then they have given birth to young ones. Who knows, maybe the young ones will not be able to be supported as they would wish to be supported to go to school. If they fail, then the vicious circle of poverty still prolongs. That's what I can say about the effects of early marriages. Yeah. And to add to that, as some of us are sitting here and talking about the bad effects of early child marriages, but then the society society norms, practices, and beliefs are embedded into it, and they already accept it. So you see that we're talking about child marriage, a girl being married off before the age of 16, because in Malawi, a child is 18 and below. So we increased our age of one being a child to 18. So you see that there will be so many of them, children getting married off, but then in their families, in their communities, in their societies, it has already been accepted, where they'll provide with them everything that they will require. But then by the end of the day, the effects draws to the whole community, to the nation as a whole. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much, Lucy. From what you've shared with us, actually, I've come to realize that the effects not only stop on the individual or on the marriage, but it's an effect to the entire community. So this is so sad. Somewhere I found, and they were describing and saying that forced marriages, actually, it is a lifetime rape to the child that is being forced into marriage. It is that loss of reproductive right to that child. It is a loss of basic rights. So to all our people out there, just know there are more effects than we can think of that are really brought up by these forced marriages. Lucy, thank you very much for that. Hashaka, I believe you're a man, you're a father. So kindly, you're going to tell us, do men also fall victims of this injustice? And if so, by range, which sex is most affected and why? Kindly share with us.
Hello? Hello? Okay, thank you so much. But when I move back to what I earlier said, understanding forced marriages and relating them to the settings that we discussed them in earlier, we looked at, and I remember saying that these were like practiced during the traditional days, their traditional practices, and these were linked to a few rural societies as of recent. And these were made influenced by some cultures and some religious practices. Like Madam Lucy just before now, that some of these are due to the norms and beliefs of the societies that we live in. The various issues that we have seen the effects, they are very numerous. You cannot discuss and accomplish them. However, looking at all that, let's go by gender, male, female. It is something that is not hard, but someone will say it is visible, you can see it. Men equally fall victims to the form of injustice. Yes, they do. However, not to the same magnitude like the ladies do. We find that since it is usually the men that marry off the girls or the women, you find that they don't experience most of this. When do these men experience it? They never have choice, like we said, in the initial stages. The initial stages are these times of dating, making a proposal, and dating out that person that you really want. So this time is not really having the young people getting involved. So at the end, you find that the boy also is equally being forced into it because of either an agreement about
Shaka, we are not getting you clearly.
Yes, please. Problem. Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
You can hear me right now?
Yes, we hear you.
Well, thank you very much. I was saying like the ladies, the men equally fall victims to this form of injustice. However, not to the same magnitude, since usually it's the men that marry off the young ladies or the ladies. However, like we earlier on looked into this, we said that in forced marriages, I earlier discussed that the people or the young people never have any influence in the inception or in the initial stages, where we expect someone to make a choice of the person who wants to be with, and also to like introduce and talk all those things. Let me call it the dating period. So these young people, out of a discussion between two families, are both forced into it. So that's how the men equally get forced into these marriages. However, looking at the bigger picture, it is the young girl or it is the women that are the most victims. This is because of how society has perceived them. This is because of how traditions, how the norms and beliefs have influenced and impacted the girl child's life. And therefore, we shall still call the girls the most affected gender, or the ladies the most affected gender in these kind of forced marriages. I happen to have participated in some of the research, especially data analysis for GBV, in some communities, especially in Eastern Uganda where I went. You'd see that the girls, once they clock a certain age, especially primary section, about 13, 14 years, they are easily married off. These have not made any choices. These have not even understood perhaps what marriage could be. But due to the poverty levels, the standard of living that is really low, and these people have to live, the girls end up being forced into marriages. And such cases are reported to police, but normally the girls lack a voice. They can't speak. So the police, the best they can do at the police level and village community level, where we have the LCs, we find negotiations and discussions where people end up with settlements. What do I mean by settlements? A cow for a girl. Perhaps some have even taken vehicles, others cash for a girl. This is out of their choice, and it is imprisonment that the girl goes into, which is always a lifetime. It has also many other disadvantages and effects that could be realized. Looking at this pandemic, let's put in this scope, the COVID-19 pandemic. This has been, I think, a trading area. Most children have been suffering, especially the girl child has been suffering early marriage or forced marriage, even during holidays. You can imagine, because of the increased cost of education, some parents are not able to pay for the children during school. So what happens when the girl child gets holidays? There are scenarios I have witnessed, try to intercept that. The parents decide, well, since I don't have money, can someone pay and then take over? And the girl children have been married off in this manner. Innocently, they enter into marriage to get school fees, to get promotions to increase, and that's how they have it. So the pandemic, the increase in education costs has caused it. The pandemic has caused many of these parents to lose jobs, and so they cannot afford the living wage. They cannot afford to survive. So livelihood is hard. Now, at the end of the day, who is suffering this? Who is suffering in this? It is the girl child. Most of the girls have gone so that people can access plantations. We have a scenario where the ladies or mothers are going to families to look for food, matoke, or perhaps cassava. And the only thing you can access that plantation is when you give away your young child. So most of the girl child have increasingly gotten married off or entered into forced marriage because of the effects of the pandemic. We shall not say so much about the standard of living in the urban centers, because we've seen it also come up so high in the urban centers, especially in the ghetto areas, because most of these guys that cannot, the girls that cannot afford items, talk about the sanitary towels, talk about even like food. Some of these girls are the ones looking for food for their families, especially in single families where men have run away, either because of the pandemic or because of the cost of living, size of the family. So some men or fathers have run away. So at the end of the day, we find that the girl child still stands as the most affected person and still stands as the main person who needs rescue. I'll say big ups to a number of organizations that have come in. I thank you so much, especially WAGS. Thanks, the Girl Guides. I have participated alongside with you. We thank the number of agencies that are also coming in. We shall look at the rest of the girls, but no, when do we need to come in? Looking at the times of holidays, the long
I'll
vacations.
request you to wind up, please.
Pardon?
I'll request you to wind up, please.
Okay. We shall need to tackle these areas based on the areas where they are being handled lightly. We shall look at communities, especially the village teams, the LC local teams. They need a strong empowerment. They need strong advocacy right there. Then we also need to have the police, because these are leaders. We've engaged some authority leaders, but police is very key and vital in the struggle to ensure that forced marriages can be fought against. This is where cases come to. This is where cases are being intercepted, and this is where files are being played around with. Thank you so much for these discussions. I know a number of people are listening, and we shall have many people come on board to support this cause, and together we can jointly fight this form of marriage that is creating very young families, very irresponsible families, and we shall have a generation that cannot do much to cause change. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Hashaka. You have said it all, and I can't really add on that, but hope it has reached our audience out there. In the research that was being shared with Anna, she noted somewhere that high rates were realized in the district of Rakai. And the fact that we have an educationist in the house from Rakai district, Sarah, kindly share with us, why is Rakai ranked high with the rate of forced marriages? What could be the reason behind that? Of all the communities, it is Rakai. Sarah Nasanga. Kindly unmute yourself and share with us. Hope she's fine. I think she's finding difficulty in
Just give us
unmuting.
1 second, Monica.
Our host, can you please help unmute?
Hold on, I'm trying to do that.
Okay.
How was it? Yeah. What was the
I unmute myself. I had a problem with myself. It has been asking me to give the reasons why it ranked at high speed at a high level in Rakai district. Within my district, there is a problem of like the background Rakai district. You all know
your network is breaking. Sarah, your network is breaking.
Are you getting me right now? Are you hearing me now?
Sarah, we can't hear you. Your network is breaking. Maybe you can look for another spot where you think there is powerful network.
Can you what I'm talking? Yeah? Here is the best place in our area where everyone comes here and gets network. There is no any other place. I've changed places on network, but this now I can see it's high here. Are you getting me?
Don't get you, Sarah. Sorry.
I would request, I see Joseph's hand up, and he is typing in the chat box. And as Sarah is trying to work on her network, I request that we go to another person to share with us. And that is Sarah. Sarah Chigongo, we believe that you're working with our friends with special needs. So can you please tell us if really this injustice also affects them? And if it does, how can we protect them from forced marriages?
Thank you very much, my dear. These children with the special needs, they are bothered and they are really affected more than even the ordinary children. In this, what do I mean? Because majorly they are left out in most of the things. When organizations come in, they just look at the ordinary children, they leave the children with special needs out, not knowing that they are also they are facing the same challenges like what others face. In this, since they face the same problems, this is what we can do as educationists and as a specialist and as a big convoy on this platform. Now, this is what we can do to protect them from this abuse. First and foremost, we need to equip them with the relevant information about outcomes from forced marriages. This will empower them to resist it. Making, hello? Hello?
Yes, we can hear.
Are you getting me?
Sarah Nasanga later. Sarah, you can continue with the discussion.
Okay, dear. Making, the second one is making and displaying charts portraying information about outcomes of forced marriage in sign language for the deaf, brailled and embossed pictures for the blind in all public accessible places. Always we've been seeing many charts portraying information about different information, but forgetting our brothers and sisters who are deaf and blind, whereby those written documents or charts that are displayed, when they are not put in sign language, so a deaf person can fail sometimes to get the proper information. And if they are not embossed and if they are not brailled, the blind person will be left behind, in that he or she will not even know where to go and what the information is saying. Next, making them our friends so that they can feel free with us, so that they can air out and they feel free to share whatever affects them. Even we can just think of that they are being affected by this forced marriage, yet they have other problems. When you befriend these people, they become your friend, you lower yourself to the ground, you will get more and more value information. On the side of the deaf children, sign language interpreters should be always available so that right information is collected and captured. You know, many times these parents with these deaf children, they tend to hide out, pretending that they have not understood exactly what the child is saying, and they can say something wrong when the child is trying to emphasize a point of forced marriage, of anything, of any verse that is imposed on her. Next, having accessible infrastructures on the side of girls and boys with the physical impairment, because this becomes a barrier for them for accessing information. Take an example. If it is a hospital and there are no ramps, these are the people who will not have proper access to the facilities that are within the hospital. This is whereby you find out this person has maybe seen a poster being put up. He or she wants to read it, but because he or she can't, he will miss to get that information. In the due course, there will be a man just near around and say, let me help you. Let me lift you from your wheelchair. In the due course of lifting this girl, the man can be admiring, can do something harmful to this child, pretending to help. Sensitizing all different stakeholders about against forced marriages concerning girls and boys with disabilities, because most of them think that these children or these people with disability, for them, they are free and they are not human beings. They have that logic. Those are curses. Those are what? No, they are children like other children. They are girls like ordinary girls, whereby they need to meet their rights. And these people, the stakeholders, must know. Next, and consultation centers with the technical people. In this, what I mean, like if the centers are there and are set, let there be a sign language interpreter. Let there be friends of people. Let there be people who at least are aware of, are having skills about managing and controlling people with disabilities. With that, I call upon everyone on this platform. Please have seen different organizations coming in, like Anna's organization. Please involve the children with the special needs also in your program, so that they can also benefit and we see everyone progressing, because we are looking at equality and fighting for our rights as girls. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sarah, for talking about the special needs.
Very much.
Actually, most of the time, we forget to involve people with special needs in different programs, and yet they really need our services. They need us to take care of them because they are vulnerable. So maybe in our programs that are to come, Sarah, you've heard that. Hashaka, you've heard that. We really need to involve these young boys and children in our programs. Over to you, Monica.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Madam Kathy, for the supplement. I would allow me to go back to Lucy. Lucy, you told that according to the research, Malawi is in the
Monica, you are breaking. You are breaking. So Monica was saying that we go back to Lucy to tell us about the issue of forced marriages in Malawi. Lucy? Yes.
Is Lucy still in the room? Okay.
Yes, I'm here. Thank you. First of all, please allow me to. Hello? Yes. So first of all, please allow me to clarify that in Malawi, according to our context, forced marriages normally happen to people who are underage, who are classified as children. So yes, maybe adults could go to arranged marriages, which are basically part of forced, but for the forced marriages, really, we categorize them as child marriages. So you hear me making references to child marriages because that's what defines our forced marriages, basically. Thank you. Yeah. So what's the question again? I'm sorry.
Yes.
We had told you, we were requesting you to talk about the issue of forced marriages in your country.
Yes. So the issue of forced marriages in Malawi is really on the rise, where there are so many challenges going around young people. We're talking about teen pregnancies, which in most communities already translates into having this girl who has been impregnated going to marriage, even though she's underage, even though she's not matured enough, even though she cannot be able to make informed decisions for herself, she cannot manage a family as a whole. So there are really so many other effects that come with it. And I cannot say that we are doing very well with it. We are very far away from managing it. But I should be honest here to mention that there is a lot that has been done already that is being put in place. Organizations, CSOs are coming forth to speak against the forced marriages. They are coming forth to do a lot of awarenesses. The government itself has taken a toll. The traditional leaders have also taken charge and making sure that they are taking part in stopping the forced marriages. I can speak of one chief who is T.A. Kachindamoto of Dedza, who has really challenged everyone to say, I'll bring back the girls from the marriages. I'll stop it forthwith. And the Ministry of Education also has come forth to do a readmission policy, which is allowing the girls to get back to school after giving birth. And there have been amendments to the Constitution also, where they are recognizing human rights, especially for women, women rights. A lot of people had come together to do a campaign to increase the age right of a child. So from 16, no. So now a child is up to 16. From 18 going above, they are allowed to get married or to be married off as an age right that they can get married. There have been other provisions also in the Constitution, in the National Constitution, that is the Gender Equality Act, the Prevention of Domestic Violences Act, that provides for legal remedies, which means that if a neighbor or anyone in the community has seen that a child or someone younger has been married off, they have been given the power to report that to the police, and justice must take place. There have been also a provision that allows for tenancy order, occupation order, counseling order, and also protection order by everyone else around taking care of girls, young girls, and young boys also sometimes, now that there have been also an outcry that every intervention that is coming is only targeting girls and none of the intervention is targeting boys. And so the outcry was that your empowered girls will still come out into the communities and meet the unempowered boys. So now there's a deliberate move of where boys and girls should be both targeted, where also the boys can learn from afar to support girls. Yeah, so, but the situation is really high. Like I mentioned earlier, that already during the COVID-19, we have seen so many other forced marriages that have happened just because of the teen pregnancies, and also because schools were closed indefinitely, and then they were like, there was really nothing to do, and maybe some other parents in the villages felt that there's nothing for the girl to do, so why not just marrying them off? So we have seen an increase already of 44,990 forced marriages, which for now a lot of stakeholders are on their feet to make sure that it is stopped, and where we can bring back those that went into those marriages and make sure that it is stopped forthwith. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lucy, for sharing with us what actually happens in Malawi. Please allow me to check on our audience to see what they have for us, what they're sharing with us. So I'll be reading out the messages that are in the chat box. I'm almost there. Okay, we have Joseph, who has told us that forced marriage is the type of marriage that takes place without free or full valid consent of one or both of the partners and involves either physical or emotional duress. He was defining for us forced marriages. Then we have Miriam is telling us that COVID-19 must go. This challenge has affected the girls, early marriage and early pregnancy. And she continues to say that I think our strategy now, we need to approach parents and guardians. Then Patricia has come to tell us, actually she was telling Anna that sharing this information from you is very educative for schools too. So Anna, our audience is requesting that that information you shared with us should go out to the public. Then we have Lucy. She said that in Malawian context, forced marriages happen to young people who are categorized as children. Then Joseph was asking to give an addition. Please, you'll be given a platform after the panelists and you will share with us. Then Ella was saying there is indeed less awareness on forced marriages to the deaf, blind. We need policies that will enhance involvement of such children and promotion of awareness. Martin came to say, forced marriages are very common among the Banyaranda communities of Chotera and Rakai districts. This particular group of people is proud of it, saying it is part of their culture. We are doing our best to fight it, but we are being let down by police. Therefore, we need a combined effort to fight this uncultured, barbaric, and outdated practice. So, Martin is calling upon us to join hands to see that we can fight this in those mentioned districts. Then Prudence thanked Sarah Chigongo for highlighting the issue on the special needs, and she says that we need to be inclusive in our work. Then Kyla said people with special needs really need us. Thanks, Sarah. Okay. So I want to thank our audience for really following in and really putting in, giving us your input. We really believe that this is benefiting more people out there and allow us to continue with the discussion. We've been centering much on the early marriages because we believe it's under forced marriages. So for one of our audience who was saying that we are focusing on early marriages, please, we should take note that early marriages are actually forced marriages. It falls under forced marriages. So maybe we should go away from forced marriages a bit. And I will request Anna to come and comment on this. Can we say that even youths, that are influenced or that feel the pressure in the community. Take an instance where there are like 4 daughters in a home, and all the 3 young siblings get married, but then the firstborn fails. And then there is that much pressure on this person to get married. So kindly, Anna, come and comment on such a situation. Can we also call that forced marriage? And which advice can we render out to people of that age besides those ones of early marriages? Thank you.
I think probably Anne might not be on the call.
Is Anna still with us? Monica, you can go to the next person as she prepares herself.
Okay, then I'll call upon Hashaka to kindly comment on that.
Moni, I beg that you do, I beg your pardon, Moni. Hello?
Yes, please.
Monica,
I was saying.
Can you hear me?
Yes, please.
Hello?
Yes, please.
Yes, could I get your pardon?
Okay,
I
I was
beg
saying.
your pardon, Monica.
Okay, please. I was saying that.
I beg your pardon.
That we look at when we talk of forced marriage, many people their mind run to early marriages. So I would like you to enlighten if we have instances where actually we have adults forced into marriage.
Yeah, interestingly, it's not a common thing. All right, practically adults, yes, now this is why they are forced in marriage, very true. But I mean, in what part would you bring it when you look at early marriage and look at forced marriage for the children? Like I said, in the initial stages or in the look at the traditional settings, let me take you to a very vivid example in some of the areas we've been. In some of the cultures, especially in the East where I was, I tried to do some work, you'd find that most women would get married because of the influence of the families. For example, there are families that have cohabited together and grown together and have understanding, especially under the influence of the religion, especially Muslim faith. We've had scenarios because of the understanding, the girl child could be asked to get married to the man because he has wealth and he has enough resources. Like I earlier gave the picture that the family setting, the standard of living, and also the social status, all these affect the families and they end up giving away. So how are these adults who are beyond 18 years? Yeah, the only thing that has kept most of them has been education. Once it's not education, the girls would get married off. This is against their will. They wouldn't love it, but they had to let it. When we look at holidays, like I gave you, these long vacation holidays, look at the recess. So a girl is at university, she's 21 years, she's able to finish, but because the parent doesn't have, you find the Haji coming and takes up. So this girl does not get married because of this. She ends up getting married because of the education that she needs to pursue and because the parents have guided her. And the marriage she enters to is different. What we've had out of this are numerous forms of violence in the marriages themselves. We've had a lot. We may talk about that. One, this girl gets married because of this. She's given even a vehicle, but inside there are tears. She lives a whole life of misery. So what do I see? Yes, the adult ladies are equally forced into marriages. And these examples are very numerous. For the men, I won't say I've met a man who has been forced into marriage or cast. We've not had examples of the males. The examples are basically for the females. And this is because of such influences. Yes, the adults equally are forced into marriage. Yes, Monica?
Yes, thank you very much for that input. We've realized that in instances there where adults are actually influenced because of that pressure, they end up going into marriage. And I've been saying in the chat box, Sophie is saying that not all early marriages are forced marriages. Yes, true, I agree with that. Some young people may actually agree to go into marriage, even if when the society feels that it's not the right age. So thank you very much. Right now we are in this COVID period and a lot is really happening out there because of poverty, people are not working, and some guardians, some parents what can happen in this period. So I will request Sarah Nasanga to come and share with us which counsel or advice can you give to that parent out there intending to force their daughters or sons into marriage because they wish to get something to sustain this pandemic.
Thank you very much. I'll begin by saying that we should always sit with those parents and guide them. Because take an example, the parent might be not even knowing what to do and thinks that what he or she is doing is the right thing. Because we know that some of our children, though they are young, but since we take them to boarding schools, since they go to school, since they go to films whereby we are not there, they are exposed to many, many, many things. So this is how we can best prepare our girls so that they can stand up for their rights in case they fall victims on at a point. This, first and foremost, we shall encourage them to raise up for their voices by spreading awareness to people concerned. This will help to break down the barrier. Here, what I mean, these girls should be encouraged to be assertive. We need to equip these girls with life skills. This will help them, equip them with the skill they need to cope in a world with the new risks and enable them to recapture the adolescence they have lost. Here, we need to use model people by sharing their stories and experience. This will amplify the voices of others, hence changing attitude and raising awareness. Next, we need to encourage these girls getting involved in different activities and leadership skills. This will help them to manage and stand firm while fighting for equality. Also, we need to encourage peer-to-peer training by encouraging them support one another. And these girls always understand their fellows better than we, the mature people. Also, we need to conduct reproductive health sessions at schools, in the community, which will help them to manage the risks. Thank you very much. I once again thank you for being concerned. Please don't let the children with a disability behind, always involve them in each and every discussion. They are able disability is not inability for God and my country.
Thank you, Sarah, for that. You have given advice to our girls out there. How best we can claim to stand on themselves in case they fall victims of forced marriages. I will go to the question I asked first, that which advice can we give to the parents or guardians out there who are intending to marry or force their daughters into marriage, especially in this pandemic, where they think the only option is to give them out so that they can get actual things to sustain them. So, Nasanga Sarah, please come and give counsel to our guardians and parents out there.
The advice that I can give, to such parents, are you getting me? Are you getting me right now?
Yes, we are getting you.
You are getting me. Oh, good. The advice I can give to such a parent is not to take that child into marriage. I advise the parents to take that child to the work he does or she does, not to leave the girl to go into early marriage before being prepared. Keep the children in school. If not in school, like this in this time of COVID, you do the work you are doing with your children in order to keep them with you. Don't let your pupils go into early child marriages. It is not good out there. The people that go out for early marriages face a lot of problems. They are the ones you find on their way through their marriage. They are poor. They don't have money to sustain themselves because they entered that thing without being prepared. I've been with the lack of internet. If now you can hear me very well, can you please assist me and say what I had to say? Yeah? Can I do it?
Kindly use
it, but briefly.
Running out of time.
You are running out of time, but you have not got the problems I get in Rakai. So and my district was ranked the first among those with early marriages. So now the causes in my district. We had a problem of HIV long time back, but it highly affected our area because most old people died. They left us with orphans. These orphans were helped by NGOs who have now stopped their activities within our districts. So the girls are left there without any help from anyone. So they decided to go for marriage when they are still young. Others live near lake shores. You know the lifestyles of people living around lake shores. These girls learn many acts of marriage when they are still young. So they engage themselves in
Unfortunately, Salah has muted herself and her video has gone off. It seems it's still internet connection. However, among our audience, there is Joseph, and he's willing to share with us. He'll be given a platform afterwards. So I'm going to request all our panelists within one minute, kindly come and tell us what can we do in our different capacities to ensure that forced marriages actually become a history. So I'm going to give everyone 1 minute so that we can spare some minutes for our audience to share their views. Allow me start with Edison.
Thank you, Monica. Thank you so much for this other opportunity. It's during the COVID pandemic, we're in the lockdown, and it's very important that we really use this very precious time to get more engaged with the young people. I want to interest parents, especially, to do a lot of guidance for the young people to ensure that at least they are able to get involved in a number of activities that are going to benefit them. Once parents do not engage their children, they are going to be misled. So many things are out there to mislead them and make sure they don't benefit. Improve on their sports, career, get involved in music, do some choir practices. It's a time they need to get involved in a number of tailoring, catering, cookery. All these will promote their skills and improve them. It will make sure that their minds are not idle and they are able to move. Once this is not done, the children are going to guide themselves into wrong places. So they need to be involved in places that are well guided. Lastly, we need to interest our parents with the repercussions of the law. They need to understand the Child Protection Act, which they don't know, and some of them have acted out of ignorance. We need to interest them with the Human Rights Act, the Penal Code Act, the Constitution of Uganda, and then make sure that they can be implemented. Maybe to wind it up all, these cases all end up at the village committee and the police. We need to continuously and have this police involved in this campaign. I really put out a bigger outcry. I really call for stronger intervention. Let all organizations that are humanitarian, that have a cause to promote and make sure that forced marriages in Uganda can be history, come on board and direct police, especially police. I repeat police because I have been to the police offices. I have them as my friends. This is where most of these cases are settled and cash even exchanged to have this girl child into marriage. Parents, let's tie up. The era and generation we are building, we are creating a generation that will make sure this world is completely young and not able to build itself. Thank you so much. And I pray that our voices have been heard and we can have the very best. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. That's submission to Sarah Chigongo.
Thank you very much. First and foremost, I'll call upon all of us to raise up our voices towards the cause. Next, I'll talk about the policy. This law should be enforced seriously on parents who are doing. There should be sensitization of the entire community and the entire world. We should always educate the next generation not to fall into the same shit of the previous. Always, we encourage them by joining in their conversation so that they can share with us and we get to know so that we also put a hand of helping these young children. Lastly, all stakeholders should get involved and get concerned about this issue of forced marriage. That is a big, big problem, majorly during this pandemic. So let us all join hands together to help these children to be free and have a good life. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Sarah. Allow me to go to Lucy.
Thank you. Just to concur with the previous speakers, but what I can say is that maybe also we should put the girls themselves in their diversity to be at the center of the solutions. They should be able to make informed decisions. They should be able to make use of the life skills that they have learned. And there should also be a political will that should come along with fighting the forced marriages, where also
Lucy, we've lost.
It seems we cannot hear. Yes,
lost-
we've lost Lucy. It is very unfortunate.
Hello?
Okay, she's back.
Yes, please, welcome back.
Are we okay? Should I call?
Yes, we can hear you
Yes,
now.
please summarize.
All right, thank you very much. So basically what I was saying is that we should have the girls themselves in their diversity at the center of the solutions, where they should be able to make informed decisions. They should be able to deny the forced marriages. Sometimes, yes, it comes as a command from the parents, from the community, but surely there can be a way out. So there should be also a political will, as well as a way of demystifying patriarchal, where we can be able to all make decisions that raises the human rights and demystify all violations that come with breaking the human rights. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Lucy, for that advice. I hope Anna is back in the house. Please, Anna, if you're there, kindly send out your message. What can we do in our different capacities to ensure that forced marriages become a history?
Monica, I don't see Anna. I think she has gone off. We can go to the next person.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much, Madam Kathy, for that notice. Right now, we are going to check on our audience because I believe they also have really good ideas and messages to share with us. Allow me first read the comments and then we shall give a chance to some to speak out. Someone has said, Mukwaya has said, I beg to correct Mr. Hashaka that unlike in urban centers, in the rural areas, we still do have forced marriages, and forced marriage is not necessarily early marriages. We have lots of youths above 18 years that have involuntarily gone into marriages due to ignorance and lack of guidance, but not because they are forced. Thank you, Mukwaya. Then we have Martin. He has said that coupled to that, sex education should be encouraged. But the question is, at what age can this be done? Can parents do it together or separately? How do you react towards their behavior change upon sex education? And then Mukwaya has come back to say, I wish to thank Anna for that information shared. We are all stakeholders here. Joining hands as all will help fight both early marriages and forced marriages. Then Joyce has said that forced marriages also create a wave of child mothers, and it is very sad for a child to be brought up by a fellow child. Thank you very much for those comments, our dear audience. Allow me call upon Joseph. Joseph raised his hand early on and he said he's from Rakai. He needs to make some submission.
Then he will be followed by Miriam. Her hand has been up for some time. Joseph, unmute yourself. So maybe as he prepares, Joseph, are you with us? Joseph Sendaji. In the meantime, we can go to Miriam.
Thank you very much for giving me the floor. I'm from Malawi. Well, I'd like to thank the Girl Guides. We've got a lot of programs which can help us to change the girls. One, we have this free beanie, we've got the life skills. If we teach a girl while she's still 6 years, it will be in the head for a long time. And the other time I said we should approach the parents. It's very important. We are too much approaching the girls themselves. But the parents, they are very far from information. Because some parents are not even educated. They don't know anything. They think if a girl has gone her menstrual period, she has to be married. So we, as Girl Guides, we have a lot to share, to advocate more for people to say no early sex, no early marriages, and no, the girls has to go to school and the boy has to go back to school. And what pains me most is when the girl is impregnated, the boy goes back to school and he finishes, and the girl, it will be 9 months not going back to school. So the policies, I agree with those people who are saying the policies. The policies have been there for a long time. Have you done anything advocating for the people to know the policies? And again, as Girl Guides, we have 2 important fundamental principles, the promise and the law. If a girl is told, I promise that I'll do my best at 6 years, she will always have that in her head, that I promise to do my best. That integrity will be at school, that integrity will be everywhere. She will have that in mind. But somewhere we are losing direction. I don't know. But let's work hard, let's join hands and work together. And again, I would like to thank Sarah 100% for inclusion of disabilities. Yes, we are leaving them behind, but sometimes you'll find a man marrying a disability girl, which is very wrong. Thank you very much for giving me the floor.
Abalo has something to say. Abalo Beatrice, you can unmute yourself.
Maybe before Abalo, we had Mr. Joseph.
Joseph Sendaji. I don't know. Joseph Sendaji, you had something to share. Are you still with us? Please unmute yourself. We can go to Abalo Beatrice. Her hand was up. Okay. Rita, please unmute Joseph.
Hello.
I've been trying to unmute him, but he has to do it on his end. I sent him a message and he has to do it.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes, Joseph, we can hear you.
All right, this is Joseph Sendaji once again. I work with you as a district senior probation and social welfare officer. Well, you said it right, and statistics indicate that Rakai district is one of the districts with a high prevalence of forced marriages and teenage pregnancies. Yeah, it is true, but
Please increase your volume a bit.
Some of the contributing factors to the high number of forced marriages and teenage pregnancies in Rakai district. One, the existing negative cultural practices. One person here talked about the Banyaranda cultural beliefs. Rakai district is one of the districts with a big population of that tribe. And this is where such cases are most prevalent. In just the previous 2 quarters, we received 18 cases of forced marriages and 80 cases of defilement cases in Rakai. So when you look at those figures, they are a bit alarming. So the cultures that exist here, we have a culture of caring. I think in quotes you can call it oxytula. That is, it is commonly known as oxytula. And there is also bride booking. These two practices are common with Banyaranda. And like I said earlier, that these cases are more prevalent in those cattle corridors. So to them, when someone gets into their menses, they believe this person is big enough and can handle marriage. So that's why most girls are runed into, they are taken as young brides. And secondly, they treasure so much cows. So if there is someone who is willing to offer cows, let's say 10 or more, this family is ready to give in their daughters early as 15 years or even below. So with such practices, yes, they are still existing in Rakai district. However, we have tried our best to ensure that we sensitize, we engage cultural leaders, and slowly by slowly, we shall get to at least to mitigate the vice. And secondly, Rakai district is one of the districts which were heavily affected by HIV. And this left very many children taking responsibility of their fellow children. So some men took advantage of these girls as early as 13 years. So you all know that even studies indicate that a child who is married at such an age will have less capacity to resist and also to engage into decision making. So such a mother, such a young bride, his or their children are likely also to be ruined into that practice because they presume, they take it to be an acceptable behavior. So with Rakai, it has a very big OVC burden. So many of these children who were left behind by the parents who died of HIV, many of them went into.
Joseph, please conclude so that we can hear from Aboli before we close.
Okay, so many were running into workforce at a very early age, and some of them were getting into bar. They were tenants in bars. They were vendors of food in restaurants. So all this contributed to the burden in Rakai district. So now what can we do as all of us here? One of us, we need to look at a
Joseph,
multi-sectoral
could you
approach.
allow me ask
is
you
not a
to type in the chat box? Kindly type in the chat box as we have Bolo also say something.
All right, thank you so much for giving me time to share
Thank
with
you
you.
very
I'm
much.
glad.
Okay, Abolo, please take up the platform.
Okay. Am I being heard now? Hello?
Can hear you, Beatrice.
Can you hear me now?
We do.
Okay. Now I was saying that the meeting is so impressed. Like in my district, Agago, the issue of the forced marriages is rampant. I would say that the children who are left, like the orphans, especially in the rural areas, the guardians who are taking care of them, instead of supporting them to grow well, they would force these children to get married so that the money they get from those husbands can help the family. But in the actual sense, we find that even if the police are involved to solve the issues, because we say the law should take its course. But in this place, now there are the people also work again after the money, of which now parents who accept this kind of the forced marriages will now be bribed so that their children are married. And we see that now from the place where we are living in, also poverty is at the high rate, of which now the parents who now do not support education, they also have low attitudes towards education, cannot now send their children to school, especially the girls. But on the other side, also the boys are forced to marry, of which you find these children, all of them are children, they also give birth to the children, and we find all the population will grow at the rate of early marriages. Now I would say that the government, even the NGOs, all the stakeholders should now join hands so that we fight against the early marriages. Because we cannot only say the forced marriages, but now we can also group it under early marriages. The issue of reproductive health and together with the sex education, we cannot only say sex education, but we can also say sexuality education so that we know our role. The young girls should know their roles, their responsibilities before the age. And they can also have that life skills of saying no. So I thank this meeting. If it can continue for like every month, can also sensitize our parents and the community. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Beatrice, for that share with us. We've almost reached the end of our discussion, and I'm going to call upon Rita. She's one of our programs coordinators at UGGA, to give us closing remarks as we end this discussion.
Thank you very much, Monica, for this wonderful panel discussion. I think one of the things that I have taken away from now is that we do take some of these issues for granted, and it's important for us to keep on encouraging these girls that whatever they are going through does not equate them to getting married at the age of 10, at the age of 9. So as stakeholders, it's important for us to play our part, and I am glad that the YES program under the stewardship of Madam Kathy has taken the mantle to ensure that girls of our age, women of our age, young girls and young women alike both advocate for girls not to get married before the rightful age. I pray and hope that during this lockdown, we do continue to sensitize our communities on the effects of early child marriage and the effects that it will have 20 years later. Because one thing that I have heard from Mr. Joseph is that for parents, right now it is an equation, or it's equating it to monetary terms, equating it to cows, but at the end of the day, they do not think about what effect it will have on their families 20 years, 30 years from today. So thank you for the deliberations, and I pray that we put in practice whatever we have discussed on this call. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Rita. Thank you very much, everyone, for tuning in. Those who have been live, we thank you. Those who have joined the Zoom room, thank you very much. We are going to be the change. We are going to carry that change that the community needs out, so that we can the marriages actually become a history. Remember, it starts with me, it starts with you, to do the change that we really desire to see. Please don't keep that when you see any issue of forced marriage, please report to the people in charge. Thank you very much, and wish you all the best. Thank you.